Further proof of the group's influence, according to Mars, comes in 1980 when Ronald Reagan, who is not a member of the Council on Foreign Relations or the Trilateral Commission, runs for president.
And he pledged in New Hampshire that if elected, he would investigate these secret societies. He also said that he would never accept the secret society member George Bush as a member of his administration. So he rushes into the National Convention late at night, very unprecedented, and says, I choose George Bush as my running mate. So George Bush, the secret society man, is now in the catbird seat. And then just a month or two after Reagan took office, he's shot. If it wasn't for about that much, it would have hit his heart, and George Bush would have been in years earlier.
And when George Bush does become president, his State of the Union address in 1991 contains a three-word phrase that confirms for conspiracy advocates his secret globalist agenda.
There is a chance for the President of the United States to use this disaster to carry out what his father, a phrase his father used, I think, only once, and hasn't been used since, and that is a New World Order.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a New World Order.
What happens in terms of creating wars is a technique, a mind manipulation technique that I call in my books problem, reaction, solution. First of all, you create the problem, but you get someone else to be blamed for it. You then report that problem through the media in the way you want it reported, because the media is owned by the same people that own the banks, and etc.
A guy with a criminal record who had been in trouble a lot, who'd been in and out of the drug.
You get the public to react to your problem by saying something must be done, this can't go on, what are they going to do about it?
Hosted by a plane and right by an explosion, approximately an hour ago, has totally collapsed.
And at that point, they, who have covertly created the problem and blame someone else, who glean that reaction of do something, then offer the solution to the problem they have created.
I met Rockefeller through a female attorney I knew who called me up one day and said one of the Rockefellers would like to meet you. I had made a video called Mad as Hell, and he'd seen the video and wanted to meet me and knew I was running for governor of Nevada. He was a very, very smart man, and we used to talk and share ideas and thoughts, and he's the one who told me 11 months before 9/11 ever happened that there was going to be an event. And out of that event, we were going to invade Afghanistan to run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We were going to invade Iraq, to take over the oil fields, establish a base in the Middle East, and make it all part of the New World Order. And we'd go after Chavez in Venezuela. And sure enough, later 9/11 happened.
The United States has been built on the wars that it creates. To keep its people's support, it needs to convince them of a worldwide threat to allow it to continue with its military agenda. Therefore, the Muslim face of terror was created as a facade to achieve its major goals in the Middle East and the rest of the world. What was the real story behind 9/11? On the 27th of February, 1933, there was a fire in the Reichstag building in Berlin, an event which ushered in the Nazi Party in Germany. This attack was later admitted to be a false flag attack, in that the Nazis themselves were behind it, an attack on themselves to usher in their supreme power. So on 9/11, was it Muslims that plotted and executed the attack, coincidentally pushing the United States into war with Afghanistan and Iraq? Who is benefiting the most from 9/11? Things must be put into perspective. Who is in charge of NORAD on the morning of 9/11? And what of the Osama bin Laden confession tape?
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes, were in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads.
And what of the hundreds of witnesses who heard and saw explosions in the two towers?
And I remember he was telling me how you're gonna see soldiers looking in caves for people in Afghanistan and Pakistan and all these places, and there's gonna be this war on terror, of which there's no real enemy, and the whole thing is a giant hoax, you know. But it's a way for the government to take over the American people.
And you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to wonder exactly what President George W. Bush knew about the attack, and when he knew it. According to the official White House version, it was at this moment in a Florida classroom that Bush learned the second plane had hit the World Trade Center and that the U.S. was under attack. But here's what George Bush himself said almost 3 months later when asked about September 11th.
I was sitting outside the classroom waiting to go in, and I saw an airplane hit the tower of a the CD was obviously on, and I used to fly myself, and I said, well, there's one terrible pilot. And I said it must have been a horrible accident. But I was whisked off there. I didn't have much time to think about it.
Now wait a minute. George Bush was told about the second plane while he was inside the classroom. So you just heard him describe seeing the first plane crash on television that day. But that's impossible. No one saw the first plane crash on TV on September the 11th because the videotape of it didn't surface until the next day.
is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order.
The people who are trying to make this world worse are not taking a day off.